Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we are making some meatloaf with Lipton onion soup mix. It is gonna be 10 out of 10 delicious. I'm gonna show you how to make it nice and juicy, no dryness whatsoever. I never used to be a fan of meatloaf, but now I love it because the way I make it, chef's kiss. First thing first, you're gonna start by dicing half of a bell pepper. This just adds a little razzle dazzle to your meatloaf. Go ahead and remove the stem and the seeds out of it. Get rid of that, you don't need it. Then you're just going to dice it up into small pieces. You want them to be bite-sized pieces. You don't wanna bite into a big chunk of bell pepper in your meatloaf. Dice it up nice and fine. Make sure you're using a sharp knife. If you want my knife recommendations, they'll be down below. I try to get at least one knife set per year so that my knives stay nice and sharp. I haven't found somebody to send them off to sharpen them. A lot of people send theirs off. I haven't gotten that bougie yet. Once you get this bell pepper diced up, you're just gonna set it aside, and then we're gonna get started on our meatloaf mixture. First thing first, you are going to add your ground beef straight into a big bowl. Once you get that in there, it's time to just add everything in. That's the beautiful thing about meatloaf. Then you're going to add your bell peppers that you just diced up. We're gonna crush up some Ritz crackers before I touch that nastiness. We're really only gonna use about half a sleeve for the sake of not messing up a bunch of bags or dishes or whatever. We'll just do it straight in the pack. Take out your frustration and crush these bad boys up. About half a sleeve, nice and crushed up, just like that there. I left the bottom still intact. I don't know if they're gonna be any good, but we'll see. Go ahead and add the half a pack. Somebody can come back and eat these. Why waste them? Because I really only wanted about half a cup of breadcrumbs, and that gave us about half a cup. That's what we're going for there. The star of the show, the beefy Lipton onion soup mix. Go ahead and pour that right in there. That itself has a lot of seasonings, but I'm still gonna go back and add my own seasonings because I need it to be flavorful. Then you're going to pour in about a quarter cup of milk. Trust me, you want a flavorful, really juicy meatloaf, add the milk. A lot of people soak their breadcrumbs in the milk, and that makes a big difference. Then you're just going to crack in one egg, and we're gonna get to mixing. Once you get everything into your bowl, go ahead and mix it up. This is the fun part. I like to wear gloves when I'm doing this because it gets really messy and dirty, and I don't like the ground beef underneath my fingernails. Just mix everything until it's just combined. You don't want to overmix because it's going to give you a very dense meatloaf. You don't want dense, you want juicy, fluffy. I don't even know if that's a good description for meatloaf, but whatever, y'all get what I'm saying here. Just don't overmix. And then we are going to set it aside so that we can form it in our loaf pan. So just like that. Perfect, done, boom. Everything's mixed up very well. Then you're gonna go in and add some W sauce. To add some razzle dazzle, maybe about 2 tablespoons, not even, 1 tablespoon will do. I'm gonna line a baking dish with parchment paper, and this is just to help with the cleanup. You don't have to do this part. It'll help with the cleanup. It'll help it not stick. We're gonna form our meatloaf into a log straight in the dish. Now that you have your meatloaf formed in your pan, you're gonna place it in the oven at 350 degrees, uncovered, and let it bake for about 45 minutes. Then we're going to add our glaze over the top and put it back in the oven. While the meatloaf is in the oven, we are going to prep some cabbage, big skillet of fried cabbage. I'm gonna add smoked sausage to mine. I went ahead and washed this on the outside just because it had a little bit of grit and grime. I peeled the outer layers. Feel free to eat them if you want, but I wanted to trim it down. For the cabbage, we are going to just cut off the stem at the bottom. Then I like to cut it in half and core out the rest of the stem because you don't need that part at all. Be very careful, use a sharp knife, don't cut yourself. That's my disclaimer for y'all. This part you can keep in if you want to, if that's your thing, but it gets a little tough. It doesn't cook down and get tender like we want it. So I like to take it out just like that. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. If you have a better trick on getting this out, let me know. Let me know, because this is how I do it every time. Once you get those pieces out, you are left with 2 beautiful pieces of cabbage. You're just going to chop it up into bite-sized pieces. Cabbage does wilt down quite a bit when you cook it, so you don't need to make it too small, just a rough chop. And I got a small head of cabbage here because I'm feeding a family of 4 today, so we don't need too much. And I'm trying not to have so many leftovers. I've been so used to cooking for my big family, but my older 2 are off to college, so I don't need to cook that much anymore. I'm trying to get better at that. Nice rough chop. Put it in a bowl, set it aside, and we're going to cut up the rest of our veggies to go with our cabbage. We're going to dice up the rest of the bell pepper that we had from meatloaf that we made and half of a yellow onion. Just dice it up into small pieces like this. Hello. Same thing with your bell pepper. This is just gonna add an extra layer of flavor to your cabbage. You can skip out on the bell pepper and onion, but since I already had this from my meatloaf, I love adding layers of flavor when it comes to cooking. And these two right here are the best. Very simple, easy, and affordable way to add more flavor without adding a whole bunch of seasoning. We are also going to add 1 beef smoked sausage to our cabbage. Like I said, this is a recipe for 4 people, so if you're making more, go ahead and add 2 sausage links, or you don't have to add any meat. It's up to you. Just cut it lengthwise, then you're going to dice it into little half moon shapes like so. That way we get a nice bite-sized piece of meat in every bite of our cabbage. Again, the meat is optional, but I like to add a little bit of extra flavor or protein or whatever when I get the chance. This is how I make my fried cabbage. Once you get that cut up and you have your veggies cut up, you have your cabbage cut up, and you have your seasonings, you are ready to make your fried cabbage. Preheat your skillet over medium-high heat, and we're gonna start by frying up our smoked sausage. You don't need to add any butter or oil to your skillet because the smoked sausage is going to create its own little bit of oil, and we're gonna go back and add some butter later. So just get this sausage fried up until it's nice and golden brown on each side. Then we'll add our cabbage straight into the skillet. Okay, now that our smoked sausage has that nice brown crust on it, like so, like that, like so, you're going to go ahead and add in your knob of butter. Let that melt down. Then go ahead and add in the diced bell peppers and onions that we just diced up. And you're gonna saute those for only like a minute or 2 because we're gonna add our cabbage straight into the skillet. Now that the onions and the bell peppers are getting a little bit soft, you're gonna go ahead and pour in the cabbage that you chopped up. Get it straight in there. We have our seasonings. We have an all-purpose seasoning, a Cajun seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder. Go ahead and sprinkle that over the top. I'm probably gonna end up going back and seasoning more. I'm not gonna hold you because that is not enough seasoning for me, but I'll let it cook down a little bit before I add more seasoning. Go ahead and give it a nice mixy mix so you get all of that sausage, onions, bell peppers, cabbage fully incorporated. Then we're gonna turn the heat down to medium low, and we're gonna cover it and just let it do its thing for about probably 15 to 20 minutes. It doesn't take long. Cabbage cooks really, really fast. Our cabbage has been simmering away for about 20-25 minutes, y'all. Ooh, it smells so delicious. It looks so good. It's nice and golden brown, nice and tender. Look at this cabbage, y'all. Perfection. Now we are going to make some mashed potatoes, and we're gonna use some baby red potatoes because that's what we have on hand. So for red potatoes, when I make mashed with them, I keep the skin on. It just adds more flavor, texture, whatever. Just go ahead and chop them, dice them, cube them, whatever you want to call it. You're going to cut them into bite-sized pieces like we're doing here. When you boil them, they all kind of cook evenly and get nice and soft. They don't have to be exact sizes, but you want to make them as uniform as possible so that they cook evenly and get done at the same time. Once you get these all cut up, add them to your pot, and then we're going to add some water and bring them to a boil on the stove for about, it'll probably take about 15 to 20 minutes for them to get fork tender. Then I'll show y'all how to mash them up. Now we are going to make the glaze for the meatloaf. My favorite part, my family's favorite part. You're going to do about 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce, another 1/4 cup of ketchup. I like to make a little bit extra because, like I said, it's our favorite part. Then we're going to add a little bit of brown sugar. It's not gonna make it overly sweet, just perfect, basically. You're gonna love it. The barbecue sauce really elevates it, takes it to a whole different dimension. So try it if you haven't already. Mix it up, and then we're gonna set this aside and check on our meatloaf. Our meatloaf looks and smells so good, but do you see all of that excess grease? We're gonna drain some of that grease off before we add our glaze. Now that we got most of that grease drained off, we're just gonna go ahead and add our glaze right over the top. This is the best part of the meatloaf. Slather it on there, y'all. All of it. We need all of it. Once you get this slathered on there, we're gonna put it back in the oven and let it bake for an additional 15 to 20 minutes, just to make sure that it's cooked all the way through and that glaze gets nice and glazy and glossy. Beautiful.